the inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
For almost a century, Ohio Valley Goodwill Industries has played a critical role employing and training people with disabilities for the job market. And this summer, the local Goodwill earned a rare recognition for its efficiency and effectiveness. Welcome back. Everybody knows Goodwill. In 2009, Greater Cincinnatians donated almost 43 million pounds of materials for the local organization for recycling and resale, which assisted over 2,300 people, placing 670 people in jobs in the general market. Numbers only mean something when translated into the experience of individuals. Here is a story of Stephanie, which is reported by Michael Flannery, who now serves as the Communications Director for Goodwill Industries.
Stephanie Mitchell had been a model employee for Kroger's for years.
I've been in the store since October. Don't believe she's missed a day. Don't believe she's missed a minute. She's an excellent employee. If you had a dozen Stephanies, you could rule the world.
But then a small change put her job at risk.
They were going to a new bagging system, and Stephanie had to be trained for it. So they came to her father and I and said she needed to have a job coach within at least 2 weeks. So we contacted Goodwill, and they was able to get a job coach.
What a job coach is someone who comes into a place of employment and assists an individual in learning their job to the management's expectations. Stephanie needed to have a little more assistance to be able to complete the job the way that it needs to be done.
The quality of training that Matt provides is outstanding. When Matt came in to train Stephanie, he knew exactly what he was supposed to do.
I knew how to interact with her, not tell her that she was doing it wrong, but showing her a better way of doing it. Stephanie's doing a great job right now. She has customers that specifically go to her lines because they enjoy interacting with her.
She's especially great to the little kids that come in. She acknowledges each one of them, gives them a little sticker. She goes above her job. I didn't train her to do that. Goodwill Industry trained her to do that.
Every 3 years, Ohio Valley Goodwill Industries must be reaccredited by the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities, CARF. In 2010, the agency received a perfect compliance report, which is rare, but that was the third consecutive perfect compliance audit in a row, something only 3% of similar agencies ever achieve. To discuss the significance of this audit, I am joined this morning by Richard Astrike, who is with the Development Office of the local Goodwill Industries, which is the Ohio Valley Goodwill Industries. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Good to be here, Dan.
By the way, having Michael Flannery is your communications director with his experience in television and his commitment to young people particularly is a great asset for Goodwill Industries.
It really is. We're glad to have Michael working with us.
Yeah, it's a very nice little piece that he created there. Goodwill Industries, I'm not sure. Lots of us know it because we donate things there. We donate not just money, but things. Tell us, though, what the real mission of Goodwill Industries is.
Well, everything that's donated and sold in stores is translated into resources to provide services to people who are disabled and disadvantaged. On any given day, we're working with 600 or 700 people who are disabled or disadvantaged in the tri-state area. And the donations, which we sell in the stores, create funds and money. And our greatest mission is not the stores. Our greatest mission is working with people with disabilities.
So is the goal to directly provide jobs for people, or is it a dual role of also, in whatever cases are possible, provide the training that allow people to go out beyond Goodwill Industries and find jobs in the general community, people like Stephanie?
Sure, it's all of that. There are some people who probably can't work, or they might just be able to work for a couple of hours a week. In that case, we may put them to work in our sheltered shop, or we may put them to work or just have them do leisure time activities, something to get them out and improve their socialization, raise them to the highest level that they can achieve. But one of our most important things is to put people to work. We want people with disabilities to be out in the community working like the rest of us do.
And, one of the things that struck me as I read the report, the audit that came back, is this must be a particular challenge over the last couple of years because of the economic downturn. Jobs have been lost. Are people with disabilities particularly experiencing that downturn?
Yes, but we're experiencing the downturn both in placing people on the outside and also in the industry that we do inside of Goodwill, where we do our sheltered shop work. We don't have as much work as we used to from the local industry and so on. Placing anybody these days with 10% unemployment is difficult, and once again, people with disabilities all the more so.
Given that point that you just made, and I had that in the back of my mind when I was reading this report, I want to read one of the points that CARF noted about the Ohio Valley Goodwill.
Sure.
And I'm quoting, "The organization is commended for its commitment to pay consumers, meaning the people that you work with, fairly, even at times when work is simulated. This demonstrates the organization's deep concern for the ongoing skill development of consumers, even at times when reimbursable contract work is lean." So the point is that, if I'm reading this correctly, they're commending the local Goodwill for continuing to pay people even if those contracts aren't at full level.
You bet. A part of our responsibility to the people with disabilities is to keep them working. If we don't have the work provided to us by a local industry, we will do simulated work. I've been in this business for 40 years, Dan, and I've never seen an organization, if I can just step back from being an employee of Goodwill for a minute, I've never seen an organization do that well. And Ohio Valley Goodwill does it as well as anywhere, and I've been around the country.
Just so possibly people who are listening this morning, what kind of contracts for businesses and industries would Goodwill have and maybe want more of so that people could stay at work?
Well, we put together parts kits for Ford Motor Company, for instance. We work with packaging things. I think we package barbecue sauce for Montgomery, and I think we've done that for a while. Anything that's a 1- and 2-step kind of thing, that's because we're not so concerned about the actual training. What we're concerned about is people getting adjusted to work, getting into the flow of work, getting a feel for what it means to put in a whole day's work. And so the simpler the work, sometimes the better. Although we can do things that are a little more complex. Usually it's that 1- and 2-step packaging, assembly kind of thing.
And do most of the people that you work with who ultimately end up in jobs in the general marketplace out there, are they people who have they come through the internal process first and get training and build confidence and learn those skills and even the basic idea of what a full workday is? They usually coming through the internal process and then heading out?
Yes, that's typical. Somebody might be coming right out of high school. Perhaps they were in special education their whole life, whole school life, and now would come out and ready to face the work world. And so we'll start with just that, as you say, that training, that adjustment to being in a non-school setting, and then gradually take them as far as they're able to go.
Okay. One of the things that this evaluation, this audit mentioned, was that the local Goodwill organization is on top of best practices and meeting standards. Where do you look around the country to learn how maybe to do it better? I know Goodwill is pretty big itself, but where does the local organization look for best practices?
Well, for one thing, we're a member of the national organization, and as you say, we get a chance to, we do a lot of communication among the 180 or so Goodwills around the country. So we get a chance to visit with the local folks and the people in Ohio and people around the country. But beyond that, we've got people on our staff like myself who I've probably been inside of 500 different organizations. I've done over 200 of these CARF surveys that we're talking about now. So I have a pretty good feel from California to Florida to Maine what a good organization looks like. We tend to bring that back and try things and experiment with things and use best practices.
You know, an organization like Goodwill, it's volunteers up at the highest level, on the board level. its staff, its volunteers, lots of places through the organization. Keeping everybody aligned is on the mission of this kind of organization is one of the key things that any not-for-profit has to do. And it seems to me that that's one of the things that comes through in this report in several places, that you've got all of the people, staff, volunteers, employees, everybody working together on a common mission here.
Yeah, that's good of you to notice, Dan. I think that we talk a lot about quality services, and I think one of the biggest elements in quality services is getting good people and keeping them for a long period of time. And we've got a lot of folks at Goodwill who have been there for 10, 20 years and still going.
For the Ohio Valley organization, this unit of Goodwill, what do you see in the next couple of years? What's sort of your agenda? I mean, this recognizes what you've been doing and how well you've been doing it. 3 of these perfect audits in a row, as I said, very rare. But what's in the future here?
Well, there are 2 things in the future. First of all, doing more of what we're currently doing. I remember when we renovated the building 8 or 10 years ago, we talked about, do you think we'll get 200, 250, maybe 300 people a day that we can work with who are developmentally disabled? Well, now we're at well beyond 350 and 400. So we'll be doing more of that because there's more need and demand out there. But also we're getting into an area called mentoring, something we really haven't done before. These are for high school kids, trying to keep them in school and trying to work with them in terms of their social skills and all of that kind of thing. So that's a pretty new thing.
Well, congratulations on this report. Thank you and all the people at Goodwill for the work that you do and the people that you work with, because if we keep our eyes open, we see a lot of graduates of Goodwill, people being helped with Goodwill in the Kroger stores and in lots of other places. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
See you, Dan.
Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women working to shape our community for the future. Have a good week.